So welcome to the Attention Masterclass. My name is Asheen Grogan. I'm also known as the $200 million business coach, and I'm here with George Hawa. There is no sell on this webinar. We're not going to sell you something. We're going to try and add value, give you some things, some information you can use to attract better clients and also attract better staff and people in your life and in your business. Suggestion, give us your full attention. Turn off your weapons of mass distraction and silence your phone at least, or turn it off. Now, what I'm going to cover, I'm going to go first. What I'm going to cover is the cost of hiring and how you can save tens of thousands or actually hundreds of thousands on hiring. What a recruitment funnel is, which will be a new concept to pretty much everyone. The three types of people you can hire, and here's a tip, you only want one. One or two changes that you can make to your hiring interviews which can drastically increase the quality of people you hire and save you from making a lot of mistakes. Now, what I'm going to show you works in any industry. I've applied this in over 50 industries, so it's quite common for people to think their industry or their country is different, but I've just never found this to be the case. We're dealing with the fundamental principles of hiring and building productive teams. So they're always the same. Okay, now, a little bit about me. I started with cleaning. That was my first business many, many years ago. I've had businesses, 5 or 6 businesses in multiple industries. And when I first started, I started talking to people about hiring contractors and people, and I heard ideas like this, there's no good people out there. People only care about, good money. You have to pay top dollar to get the best people. Good people are hard to find. I'm sure you've heard that or even thought it, and you can't trust anyone, etc., etc. So one thing I decided, which led me on this journey, was just to skip all of that, because if you want to achieve your goals as a business owner or even a leader or a manager, you need to master people, and you definitely can. You just need to work at it, but you'd have to throw some of these ideas out first. Now, I went on to run a business and grow business in manufacturing, property sales, business automation, IT, hiring developers, and all sorts of things, very different to tradespeople, and of course, consulting and coaching. And along the way, I did many things, but I've added, the first 5 years, I added over 200 million in growth. And it's actually a lot more than that now. And no matter what I was doing, whether it was property, whether it was finance, it was something else, there's many industries, like over 50, I always ended up helping clients with people, because if you have the right people, you can grow your business, you can get results. Now, no matter what I was doing, we ended up having to hire people, get rid of the wrong people, or the business has now doubled or tripled in the last month because of some other work I'd been doing, and I inevitably had to master helping my clients with people to get these sort of results. Okay, quick question. Do you know what the cost of poor hiring is to your business? Please type a quick answer there. What do you think it costs you to get your hiring wrong? Yeah, time and money, true. Profit and future business, yep. Reputation, spot on. And of course, you can also put a money amount to this. Now, I'm going to just cover this quickly because a lot of people don't confront how much bad hiring costs them, or even the cost of slow hiring. That's also a factor. I'm going to run through a quick example of what normally happens. So you hire a person, and often when you're hiring, you're in a hurry or you need to solve a problem. So you're a bit desperate. That may sound familiar. So first month, you just get them on. It's all going to be solved. The person interviewed well. It all looked good. So first month, it's startup time, so we're not too worried. Second month, okay, it's not looking as good as it could, but we just spent months getting this person. Well, third month, we're not really performing, but let's just give it a go, and so on. And by the fifth or sixth month, the warning bells are going. But we just got to try and make this work. I'm sure you've seen this or even experienced it. Normally by about the 6th month, often it gets to 12 with some actually, you'll find. 12 months, no production, and we have to start again. So like you said, there's time, money, profit, reputation, and just having to do it all over again, which is double work if I ever heard of it. And the only problem with all of this is that it's costing you more money every time you do this. Unfortunately, this is not the money they're making you. This is the money that you're spending. And I'm going to break this down, but you'll see that it all just adds up, and then you start again and you have to go again. Now, if you've used recruiters, you get hit extra whammies on top of your existing cost to your business. Okay, so let's look at this a little bit more. It's worth confronting. If you hire someone who isn't the right fit or isn't productive, what does it cost you? Well, this is a very common example. Wages, 100 grand, pretty common. How long did you employ them? In this case, 12 months. So if they didn't work out, that's 100 grand you just burnt. Cars, computers, phones. If this was a salesperson, that'll be another 15, 17,000 bucks. If you use a recruiter, that's an average rate there, 15,000. So we're down 132. Then we've got to onboard and train them. People actually don't often confront that there's a whole cost there. So they were down another 20 roughly. Now, if they're expected to produce 500,000, if this was a salesperson or a business development person, if you're paying them 100, they sure as hell better bring in 500,000 bucks worth of business, or it's not really worth it. Now, the actual production in this scenario is only 250,000, so you're actually down another 250 grand, which leaves us with 400. Now, if there's damage, you can add that on top. In this scenario, we're not adding any damage or lost clients. This person just didn't perform to expectation. Legal costs and all that. It varies. In the US, it can be up to at least 100,000 if you get a lawsuit, and which happens very frequently over there. Your time, if you had to get involved, whether you're a manager or the business owner, let's say it was 20 hours at a measly 250 bucks, I bet your time is worth more than that. So we're down 407K, and then there's the opportunity cost. So what should you have been producing while you were handling this hiring mishap or this person who isn't working out? You should have been closing deals or working on the bigger picture or whatever it is that you're meant to be doing. Normally a lot more valuable than handling muck-ups. Then you repeat the process, so we can just do it all again. So in this is a scenario which is actually a very mild scenario. I've run this calculator with people and come up with much higher figures. 400 grand. Okay, why else should you learn this? Well, apart from that, that's bloody painful. You've probably heard that people say life is all about sales. You know, selling yourself. You got to be good at selling your kids to bed if you have kids. Getting married is a big sale. Negotiating deals, entering into a business partnership, joint ventures, etc. All sales. But let's look at it from another point of view. They're all actually hires. You know, getting married is a major hire. I hope you selected the right person to spend the rest of your life with. Choosing the right property agent can make a big difference on the result on getting on what you get for selling your house or even negotiating buying your house. Right business partners, the right friends, the best contractors and service supplies to you, your business, your family, and staff, of course. So just another viewpoint that you're always hiring as well. Now, to understand how to hire, we have to look at the three types of work and the three types of people. Yeah, now if we're going to hire people, we're hiring them because we want work. So the definition of work is an activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a result. So mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a result. But here's the problem. If you're a valuable work person, you're a person who does valuable work, you assume that of course it's a valuable result. But I'm afraid that all work isn't the same. I'm sure you have seen this, right? Some people think work is turning up and breathing in a chair for 8 hours and then going home. Some people think it's playing on Facebook or whatever. And some people think it's getting deals done and so on. So I defined the three types of work that you'll encounter. And knowing these, you can actually start to see the different characteristics of work and then hire accordingly. There's three types: V work or valuable work. And it's any activity involving mental or physical effort which achieves a valuable result. X work, which is extra work. So it's any time-wasting activity. It produces no result, adds no value to your organization or life. And it's extra work that wastes your time and your money. Profit drain, there's lots of words for it, but it literally is actions and activities, mental or physical, that don't produce any value. All right, and D work. This is the nasty one, destructive work. It's the complete opposite of valuable work. It has negative value, it ruins, it harms, it tears down what you've built. If you've ever been ripped off, had your database stolen, been backstabbed, you know what D work is. All right. And they form a sort of scale. It tells you what we're looking for when we're hiring. Right up the top, we've got these high value producers. You may be one of them, you may know them. And then as we get down here, the percentage of valuable work is decreasing and we're getting more waste. And that increases and increases down the bottom of the scale until you get up into complete negative value. That's the value of work, and we can translate this into 3 classes of people who have characteristics along these lines. So quite simply, a V-work person, this is obviously the person you're looking for when you hire, they produce more V-work than X-work and D-work. X-work people produce more X-work than V-work. Pretty simple. Or 50-50, even that's borderline. 50% value, 50% waste. It's getting into X-work territory and so on. And then we've got D-work. A person who intentionally creates D-work results has negative value to organizations and people. People also call these toxic and various other terms. Give you a simple example of how this would play out on building an online system, say an automated system or a marketing system. A V-work person builds a system that works. Yes, there might be errors or things that need to be fixed, but they fix it and it works. An X-work person would build a system that's got bugs, it crashes, doesn't really quite do what it does, or you have to do a lot of maintenance to ever keep it working. And a D-work person will, it won't work, it won't do what it's meant to. They'll prevent you from using the system or they'll lock you out of it. There's all sorts of things they can do. All right, so you can see from this that there's a ratio. There's a V-work to X-work ratio. And some people naturally have a high amount of V-work. They just naturally do it. And some people increase it through their career just by sheer willpower. So you can definitely increase the ratio. And you can also decrease it too. So there you go. So we want the people on the left, not the right here, the V-work people. And of course, this adds up to the team ratio or the business ratio. So every business has a V-work ratio. And most businesses don't ever hit more than about 30 to 40% V-work. The rest is actually X-work. Believe it or not. You may have familiarity that 2/3 of your actions or a lot of people's actions don't add any value. Not because they're not trying, could be disorganization, because of D-work people or whatever. So there's many angles to that, but one of them is hiring, is how we improve this ratio. That's what we're talking about today. Quick example. This is one of my clients. We eliminated 2 D-work people on the sales. We did not replace them. They went up 19 million in sales. So this is the company called Frontline Australasia. I'll just read you one quick thing here. He says, my staff have been taking responsibility and ownership for the areas of the business. I've been able to focus on new business opportunities. This year's new contracts are 21 million compared to 2 million last year, with our profits 4 times what they were at the same time. So we actually cut people out of this organization and the ratio increased. The value to anything else ratio, to X-work ratio increased, and that's the sort of thing that can happen. So if you actually work on isolating these and eliminating them, you can get a big lift just on that. All right, moving right along. So I've created, of this last 20 years of building companies, growing clients and so on, and even rescuing businesses, the V-work system was a big contributor to these results. Now, the purpose of this system is to increase the productivity of your existing team and your organization by 3 things. 1, hire V-work people, obvious. If you just get good at hiring and you just keep adding V-work people, as you'll see as I move along, your ratio will increase anyway, and a lot of the problems that you face will be solved just by that alone, because V-work people will make things happen. They'll make systems work, they'll get things to work properly and so on, and they solve problems for you. Second thing, increase the ratio of your entire organization. That's an organizational piece, but there's definitely principles that you can use there to also increase it. I won't be covering that today. And developing a V-work culture. Now, culture is often used, and it can get a bit like a fluffy word, but I do want to cover this quickly, is that a group tends to have a moral code, whether written or spoken. And if you can create a V-work culture, one of value, it will attract like people, because it's the law of attraction. Like people hang out with like people. Water likes to hang out with water, oil likes to hang out with oil. Oil and water don't mix. And it's no different with V-work people and X-work people. X-work people frustrate V-work people, and vice versa. X-work people won't be happy in a V-work culture, or will raise their game and become a V-work person, or they'll leave. And also a V-work culture will tend to attract other V-work people who want to be part of the game. Much more fun. Now, I developed certain principles while doing all of this work. Everything I'm covering with you is tested, it's proven, and it's been tried. That's why I was able to develop certain laws relating to these three types of people and these three types of work. So there is a series of laws about VWork people themselves, which is how you increase productivity, and there's VWork hiring laws. I'm covering VWork hiring laws today. Here's the first one. There are basic laws on people and hiring. Not knowing these basic laws will cause trouble and upset in an organization. Now, this is very simple, but so is gravity. Everything that's a law is simple. So the first thing to know is there are laws, you can learn them, and if you don't know them, you will have trouble and upset. And here's the next thing to know, is that if you do have trouble and upset, well then obviously there's something you need to learn. And I've got to say, one of the biggest reasons business owners and leaders give up on their goals is their inability to attract and hire the right people. You know, if you're an entrepreneur or even a manager, you've started out with high goals to have a team, productive team, all that sort of thing. And after you've had some bad hires, you've been burnt, backstabbed and so on, you can get a little bit dull about the whole thing or a bit cynical. And if you talk to a lot of small or failed business owners or people who are struggling, you will find out that they have had a lot of trouble with people and they just start thinking smaller. So we don't want that. Now here's the actual first VWork hiring law in the whole series. And it's this. VWork people support and embrace the VWork hiring laws. X-Work people find excuses not to apply them or just disagree. And D-Work people violate them openly or secretly and encourage others to do the same. You will find this runs true not just on the VWork laws, but on any sort of valuable project you're engaged in. If you've ever been trying to deploy a new system that's going to improve things in a company, or something that's going to make more people more accountable, I guarantee you there was people who had excuses not to do it or would disagree with it, and I guarantee you there was people who openly said it was terrible or said you were bad or said the system was bad, or secretly encouraged others to not apply them. So it's no different with this. So anything valuable is going to have this will apply. So keep this in mind. If you're going to go down this path, you won't always have full agreement. But that's the reason why you're not getting the results that you want. And here's one last preparatory one. A successful organization controls its hiring. An unsuccessful one does not. You cannot be truly successful in any sort of management, leadership, or entrepreneurial position if you don't plan and learn how to control your hiring. If you think recruiters or some outsourced solution is going to handle it for you, you are never going to be fully successful. If you just think to yourself, if you could actually master this area or get better at it, if you're already good at it, get 20%, 30%, 50% better result with your hiring, imagine how much more successful you'll be. Okay, so please do not expect someone else who's got their own pocket, i.e. recruiters or their own commissions, don't leave it up to them or others. Why hiring fails before you post an ad. This is why. This is one of the fundamental reasons that hiring fails before you even start. And a lot of people say, oh, we can't find any good people, there's no one in the market, we're getting no response from our ads. But it's simply not true. When you know what to do, you can completely turn this around. But the first thing to know is that hiring is a funnel, just like the concept of a marketing funnel or a sales funnel. And of course, the concept is that you put in prospects here and then you put them through to the end and then you have your highest paying customers here. Well, it's no different with hiring. It's actually a series of stages which should screen out and filter with a specific result or person in mind, and that's obviously a VWork person who fits the role and fits the business. Now, a lot of people right now do never define what they want. They're never clear on the funnel. They've never designed it. The basic funnel most people seem to have, which is not really a funnel, is, oh, we need someone. Write an ad, take some resumes, and we'll just see who presents well and see how we go. That's pretty much what most hiring is in most businesses, even big ones. So that's the first reason people fail, is they have not designed their hiring process. They've not designed the stages to filter out X-Work people and make sure that V work people get through. And of course, you want to eliminate the D work people. So the system I teach actually helps you using these laws to filter out all of these people. So just remember, you have to think out what is it we want and what is our process. And if you know these laws, you can start to do this more and more effectively. And the other side benefit is if you design this well, you can filter out a lot of people and save yourself a stack load of time in interviews and reviewing resumes and all sorts of things like that. Okay, so that's the first thing to know. Treat it like that. And if you're going to market, you have to always know who are you marketing to. So it's no different with hiring. You need to know who you're looking for. Most companies don't do that. Here's the next law, which relates just to what I was covering. Every step of the hiring process is an opportunity to test for what you want and screen out what you don't. So I think I've already covered that enough. Here's some of the basic aspects of hiring, and I know most of you know this, but like I said, a lot of the failure of hiring is here. And there's pre-hiring. It's the setup of it. The next is ads. People don't write ads correctly. I'm going to give you some tips on that before I finish. There's many ways to screen, which do not involve interviews, do not involve talking to people, or do not involve so much time. There's many ways to test that aren't just psych tests or profiling. So there's many ways you can do that, and so on. So these are the basic points of your hiring funnel, but you want to design them before you start. Okay, let's move on. Now here's a real big question. Why do your ads attract the wrong people? Anyone got experience with this? They attract no one or attract the wrong people. Or all the people who applied were no good. Or all the people that came through interviewed great but were terrible. Yeah, I'll keep going, but type your answers or your questions. Well, I'm going to give you one of the fundamental errors in ads, which may seem counterintuitive, but just bear with me and you'll see why you have trouble. So here it is. A cook applying for a marketing position. Yeah. Oh yeah, you see all sorts. Okay, now to attract V-work people, the primary focus of a recruitment ad is what you expect them to do and what the results and the results required, not what you're going to give them. I'll give you an example. Just bear with me here. Fire questions if you got them. This is straight off. This is off actually Monster.com in the States. What do you think's wrong with this? It violates that law completely. Being a representative has its perks. Make up an iPad. Earning an extra income is just the beginning. As a representative, you also get to travel, earn trips. You get to design and create business tools for free. Education benefits, tuition, highly rated health, dental. I mean, it sounds amazing, doesn't it? Discounts on voice data, and so on. This is boss life. Sounds amazing. So if we go back to this law, it has really nothing about what you expect them to do or the results required. It's all about what they're going to get. Now, if you go and look at Seek.com, Indeed, Monster, all these places, you'll find that the majority of the ads are like that or similar. I'll tell you why, because one of the characteristics of a V-work person is this. They have their attention outwards. They like to overcome obstacles. They also tend to be honest. They also like to do the right thing. So they're not actually going to reply to an ad if it seems too good to be true or it's not really fitting with what they want. They want a challenge. They want to move ahead. They might already have a good job. They might want to go to the next level in their career. And their actual attention naturally is on results, on the target. What they can do for you, how they can help. What have I actually got to solve here? What are the problems that I've got to solve in this role? What are the issues? What am I going to have to handle? So telling them all the stuff that they get is actually the wrong flow. If you are a productive, valuable person and you're dealing with other valuable people, you know that you're going to get money because money is an inbound thing, right? Money, conditions, benefits. Yes, and they're good to have. We all like money. We all like these things. However, a V-work person actually instinctively is looking more at what they can do for others, the challenges they can solve, and so on. And they're going to more honestly look at what's expected of them and what results are required because they're going to come looking, and if you don't really get to that, you're going to cut out potential people who are the right people. And if you talk about all the things that you're going to give people, you basically get people like this. You're going to get people who are more interested in themselves, not producing results, which would include your clients, your customers. That's all here. You produce results for your clients, customers, and so on, and internally. So anyway, does that give you an idea? That is one of the fundamental flaws where you lose tons of money and you also attract a lot of the wrong people. Okay, quick case study. I won't read all of this. So this company is in Australia. They work in rope access, building restoration, so hanging off buildings, so quite specialised. They would never get responses, or almost none, from Seek.com, which is the biggest job board in Australia. We changed their ads, we fixed their funnel using some of the laws and others that I haven't mentioned, and straight away, 3 responses from Seek, never got any. 11 altogether from all channels. We identified all the different channels that you can actually recruit. It's not just job boards. There's over 30, and job boards are just one of those channels. We used to get very little response to the ads. Now 50% of the applicants are great. They've hired 3 already within a week. Before that, they couldn't attract any people at all. Their ads work. And here's the interesting thing. If you can get this right, possibilities open up. And this is what she said. Now hiring is a game. Previously, we couldn't get anyone, so we'd take anything. And we'd end up bending over backwards to please them. We'd have to do a lot of training even to bring them up to standards. So you can see how that's running the whole hiring process backwards. People should fit your organization, not fit your organization to them. All right, this is the last point that I'm going to cover here in terms of tips. So interviews, how do you cut through the mask? Now, as you know, if you've done any hiring at all, people put their best mask on when you go to hire. Now, in interviews, this is the place where you most see it. But when the moment someone replies to an ad, sends you their resume, this mask goes on. They're putting their best foot forward. So you don't know whether you've got a V-work person, an X-work person, a D-work person. Who is it? They all look good. And that's where the right questions to cut through the mask and help you tell if a person's lying, or if the person's bending it, or if the person's just a great interviewer. Has it ever occurred to you that people that lose their jobs a lot might be very good at interviewing because they're so used to having to get jobs? And some of the people who aren't so good at interviewing in the standard way are not so good, so they don't get the jobs even though they're more productive. Okay, now has anyone, just yes or no, has anyone interviewed someone who looked great and then they turned out to be terrible? Yeah, pretty much everyone's experienced that. And you might have hired someone who didn't look so great in the interview, turned out to be a diamond. So, all right, so the whole way through the hiring process, everyone's trying to look good. Your job is to actually see behind all that and see who is good and who isn't. And also to see the other way, you might have a whole bunch of good people. You want to eliminate the people who aren't so good. And of course, you definitely need to be able to isolate the D-work people because they'll just destroy everything. So here's the next V-work hiring law relating to interviews. And this is a real key thing to get. It'll change the way you look at it, and there's many ways to apply it. But here it is. V-work people can tell you their results and how they did it. So V-work people can tell you their results and how they did it. X-work people can't or have trouble doing so. So the problem with most interviews comes back to this principle here, is that if you want to get if we look at a result, right, a V-work result, something that's valuable, it's finished, it helps, it can be, someone will spend money on it. There has to be things that you do. And this is where all the effort and resistance is, right? Is getting through the problems, the challenges of producing results. I mean, that's why you employ people. They got to do things and they got to push through and get to a result. And of course, back of that, they had to have an idea. It had to be intended. So a lot of interviews, unfortunately, focus in on this. What does the person do? What can they do? What sort of person are they? What ideas do they have? But they very, very infrequently ask about results. And there's a real big advantage to interviewing this way, is that a person can say, oh yes, I'm a people person, which is really just their ideas, and I can good at these activities and so on. A person can lie about these. It's much harder to lie about results. And if you're talking, say, to a salesperson, and you know about sales, let's say you technically know about sales, say big sales, and you ask them about their results that they've got in their resume, well, one, we can quantify them. We should be able to find proof of results. You see? If your idea is to bake a cake because you're a chef, and then you do the motions of baking a cake, and then you should have bread, right? That's not very nice looking bread, but you get the idea. It's bread, and we can taste bread. See, it's tangible. You can see it, and you can taste it. And this is one of the fundamental changes. If you shift in your hiring process, in your interviews, you will cut through a lot of the people who are not telling the truth or, stretching the truth or just lying. Okay, good. So I'll just repeat that in light of what I just said. VWork people can tell you their results and how they did it. So if they tell you about results, next question you can ask is, well, how did you do that? Because you do not want people who take credit for other people's results. So asking the how did you do it question cuts through that. Okay, great. Moving right along. So here's another tip on interviewing. Don't use your business as a testing ground. Too many people do this. They just hire the person, like I said, and throw them in and then find out if they're any good or not. Can they do what we actually are paying them to do? So here's the next VWork law. The only assurance of VWork results is to verify them or see the candidate produce them. So if we talk about a funnel, the better place to verify or see the candidate produce them is before you've hired them. Make it part of your hiring process or your interview process. It cuts through the mask, it cuts through all of the niceties and all the things they're used to being asked. So on that note, I went over this VWork hiring law with George, who's about to come on, and I just wanted to quickly talk about how it changed his hiring process and improved the quality of people. So over to you, George.
But basically, with that one tip Ashin gave me with our company, what's really important with us is that we hire quality staff since we deal with some very high quality clients, large hotel chains and large clients, corporate clients. So one of the things we weren't doing before was testing people before they came in for an interview. And what I mean by testing them is actually getting them to do part of the job that they would be doing within the business. For example, if we needed people for content creation, before they came in for an interview, they'd have to produce a piece of content that we specified for them to do in order for us to understand that they were competent enough to do the job. If, for example, as a salesperson, I'd actually get the salesperson to do a phone call in front of me in the interview. And I'd also give them 5 phone calls to do outside of the interview. And also report to me with the results as well. So this dramatically, I would say, improved our team and recruitment process, quite significantly. And it was very, very obvious and observable in terms of the quality of staff we were getting after we implemented this. It made it much more easier to recruit and made our decision a lot easier. So thanks, Ashin. Very, very good tip. And it worked very well.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, very good. Okay, so that's some great ideas. And once you take these principles, you can really start playing with them, which is what I always recommend to all my clients. Give them the basic principle and they start working out how to best do their own funnel and how to best start their screening process and so on. All right, great. One last tip. I'm running out of time here, so I will move on. But one last tip is experience does not equal VWork results. So that's another thing not to get too hypnotized by when you're looking at resumes or looking at people in an interview and they're telling all these great things they've done. Yeah, it doesn't, or they've done a lot of, they've been a salesperson for 10 years. It doesn't mean much necessarily because their experience might be nothing but producing X work, you see, looking busy and creating a lot of chaos and confusion. That might be the 10 years of experience you're looking at. So you're much better off asking about results, how they did it and things like that. And it cuts through a lot of things people can BS about. Okay, great. So there's a lot of other things to know about this, guys. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of insight and some things you can change right now in your hiring. But there's definitely some other questions and things you can ask. So I'm just going to give you this free download that you can look at in your own time. And this actually comes straight out of the VWork hiring system. And it gives you 8 steps one or two things I've covered, but the exact questions to ask for production and various other things. Check it out, and it's got a good summary of what I've covered. I've just put it into the chat room. In summary, if I was to boil everything down in this very short webinar, is go for VWork results the whole way through your hiring process. Look for results. If someone says they can bake a cake, make them bake a cake. If someone says they can, get 10 appointments a day, get them to do 10 appointments a day. If someone says they can type 100 words a minute, get them to do it. If you have that approach, is like, show it to me, let me see it, you will make way less hiring mistakes. Now, there's a lot more to this, and that's covered in the VWork hiring system. I'm just going to quickly show what's in it if you're wondering, and then we'll move on. So I actually put down all of these laws and everything into an online system that you can use anywhere, anytime, any place. And you can see a little screenshot there. You can see all the modules. I've broken up all the aspects of the funnel, but the purpose of this system is to teach a business, the people in a business, how to hire themselves, not using recruiters, and to do it way more successfully. The other purpose is also is so you have a standardized system of hiring in a business, which is very important as you're growing. It's one thing for the owner or the manager to know, but the other thing is for other people. As other people start hiring, you want the same system. And almost no businesses have a uniform system, even big ones. I've not found it yet. So quick, in terms of the modules, there's Xwork and VWork defined, a whole series of training on that, which is great for staff. You've got the correct hiring mindset, where I've given you a few little snippets of that. There's a whole bunch there. Before you start hiring, Module 4 covers all the way you design your hiring process and how ways you can save time and all that sort of thing. Section on ads, how to screen candidates, resumes, different forms of testing, not just psych testing or profiling, personality profiling. There's 4 other methods, and you can be very creative with these. Interviews, a whole section on that, which definitely expands on the free download that I've just given you. Demonstrations, how to do reference checking, so you also don't get lied to there. Making a decision, there's a full checklist on that. Employment contracts, and how to, of course, establish the recruit. The hiring isn't complete till they're on the job and they're producing VWork results that you can verify. And here's all the different downloads and checklists and things. So basically I went overboard. Anything you could run into, there's a checklist or a template for you. Okay, so in roundup, that's the VWork hiring system. It's unlimited access to that portal I just said. I take you through all the steps in much detail. There's a lot of easy to follow checklists and action plans. There's downloads, resources I covered, full support. And you also can get, one of the levels of this is that you can work with a coach such as myself, and they will tailor the system to your business. So you can have a standardized system from start to finish, like we've covered, which gets you, attracts and hires you VWork people. So if you can even increase your success rate 20, 30%, it will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions over the lifetime. As I said at the start, we'll have an opportunity to talk to myself. So I'm offering a free 15-minute VWork hiring audit. You can book it on that link there. I'll also put it in the chat. And what I'm going to do there is literally ask you 20 questions. So we're going to do a step-by-step review of your hiring funnel to isolate any key areas for improvement. And you can also ask some more specific questions you probably didn't want to ask on this webinar. And I do warn you, if your hiring needs a bit of work, it might be a bit more than 15 minutes. It can go longer if there's more work to be done. But anyway, it's always a very interesting conversation. Okay, great. So that is all from me. I will just put the link right now if you'd like to book one of those. Thank you for your time. I'm going to hand you over to George. He's going to talk to you about attracting people through social media.